Cam Jordan joining us now here on First Take, defensive end for the Saints, but more importantly, been in the National Football League for 15 years, knows a thing or two about the whole thing. Hello, welcome to First Take, Cam. What's going on?
I appreciate you guys having me this early.
What's up, big time?
You know?
We're happy to have you. Big news, obviously, last night was the news of John Harbaugh now seemingly becoming the coach of the New York Giants. Let's go from the quarterback perspective, because he's Jackson Dart, Giants quarterback, same draft class as Tyler Shuck, who had a really good second half of the season. What kind of impact do you think John Harbaugh can have on Jackson Dart, on the quarterback?
I mean, he was at the Ravens for 18 seasons. He developed quarterbacks, clearly an MVP in Lamar, and now he's taken over, and you get Jackson Dart, who has shown flashes of something, of gumption for sure. So you're going to take that and give it, that's consistency, as most consistent as they come. And in this league, when you could have somebody you can rely on, consistency, you know, the temperament, you know, he won't like spaz out on you, that's someone that knows you can grow.
What do you guys think? Chime in here on the impact on Jackson Dart Harbaugh's going to have.
For me, it's Todd Monken going with Harbaugh. Todd Monken gets a lot of heat, and I think sometimes it's warranted, and we've talked about that with the lack of run. I know this, and I'm not saying, please, Jackson Dart and Lamar are obviously not in the same conversation. But, one, Dart was really good versus really good teams last year. I think he had like a top 5 QBR versus the playoff defenses. Two, we're talking when Monken had Lamar in his healthy seasons, Lamar won MVP. I think he was runner-up for MVP, 70 touchdowns and something like 11 giveaways. So, and again, I understand different levels of talent, but Monken, track record of getting good, talented quarterbacks to play at a high level. I think Jackson Dart's first year in a very chaotic situation displayed a high level of talent. So, yeah, Harbaugh, the leadership, the connection of the group, not having to do it all. Monken, great play caller. I think Dart was one of the selling points for Harbaugh going there as well.
Well, I will say the thing I love is no connection, no kinship, no previous relationship, right? And so it's the same thing like when I talk to my kids and they've heard these things I've been telling them for 26 and 24 and 20 years, like I'm just dad. I'm just that dude that's talking, and they can either repeat or say what I'm going to say before I say it. But when I talk to their friends, they can't stop listening. They can't stop asking questions. That's who John Harbaugh is going to be when he walks into this locker room. When he has a conversation with Jackson Dart about how to protect himself, that conversation is going to come from experience with a 2-time MVP that you also had to guide, that you also had to advise. And the second part of that is empowerment. The one thing I remember from John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson was the time that John Harbaugh was mic'd up. And he sits next to Lamar Jackson during his first MVP year. And he tells him, do you know how many kids are going to be wearing number 8 jerseys because of you? If I'm a young quarterback and if I'm somebody that's trying to make a name in this league and I'm trying to be all that I can be based on my potential, to have a head coach who believes in me in that way but communicates to me in that way is extremely important. And so I think it's less about what Todd Monken is and more about the steadying force John Harbaugh can be. But obviously, when it comes to the X's and O's, the schematics of everything, it's going to be Todd Monken understanding the college game coming from Georgia, understanding a young quarterback with athleticism coming from Lamar Jackson, and now executing that with someone like Jackson Dart.
Stephen A.
First of all, Cam, it's good to see you, bro. Good to see you. Congratulations. Continued success.
I mean, he about to hate at some point.
I'll say, lift you up before you
not
let
on
you down.
him. Not on him.
Not
on him, but that's okay. That's okay. Y'all can believe that.
Hey, great morning. How about that? Great morning.
That's right. It's hard for me to listen to the kind of attitude that former players have about John Harbaugh because we have present players that clearly had lost the connection with the man. I mean, I'm not making this up. Y'all know this. And so I'm like, wait a minute, you know, RC, Dan, I'm certainly not going to challenge them. I know they forgot more football than I know. I got that part. But I'm watching. And we've heard and we've seen what people have alluded to as it pertains to John Harbaugh in his last days in Baltimore. And we're just going to bypass that because of all the things that happened beforehand. I'm not doing that. I'm paying attention to what's transpiring as we speak. And then when we bring up Todd Monken, well, let me tell you what the hazard with that is. The complaints that we've had about Todd Monken, it was obvious what he should have been doing from time to time. It wasn't corrected. Why wasn't it corrected? Could it be because John Harbaugh and him are that tight where John Harbaugh just let him do his thing? Is that something that's going to work for you effectively in New York? I don't know the answer to that question. I'm just not as confident and resolute as you guys are in bringing this up. I know that John Harbaugh can coach. I know the man's a Super Bowl champion. I know he's been in the playoffs numerous times. It's not a Pittsburgh Steelers situation where they haven't won a playoff game since 2016. I get it. But I'm thinking about Lamar. I'm thinking about Derrick Henry. I'm thinking about the talent that they've had. And yes, Patrick Mahomes was standing in your way or Josh Allen was standing in your way. Those are two huge, huge impediments, and I get that too. But it's not about just that. It's about what we were hearing from the players. It's about what the owner alluded to. It's like, damn. It's one thing if you just depart ways. And then, listen, Mike Tomlin left, the team stood up and gave him a standing ovation. John Harbaugh was let go through a phone call. Now, I know Bashadi explained that. I know he explained that. But again, optically speaking, we spoke about this yesterday. I'm going to repeat that. Mike Tomlin walked into the office the day after losing in the playoffs, said, we good. It's time for me to step away. Walked into the locker room. I see you know this better than me. Talked to the team. Let them know it was over. They gave him a standing ovation. And he gave a pat and a hug to every single player that was in that locker room. You're going to miss him. The owner in Baltimore called him on the phone. No exit, none of that was going on in Baltimore. Why? Why? That's all I'm saying. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Let's go to the NFC now, and let's go to the playoffs because we got Cam Jordan here. We got to talk about this. Bears-Rams in the divisional round, and the minute the Bears beat the Packers in the wild card round, Cam, I'm from Chicago, if you don't know yet. My mentions were filled with people telling me to call Dan Orlovsky out on his comments that he made prior to the Bears-Packers game. And if you didn't hear what he had to say, this is a fun flashback. Let's listen.
I mean, Dan was.
Do you think the Bears will win on Sunday?
No, I do not. I think the Packers win, and I think the Packers win handily. There's only so many times over the course of a season when you can play inconsistent offensive football and still hang on to the end of the game miracle. It's just unlikely that is going to be a storyline in the playoffs versus high-end teams that are coached well. Chicago doesn't stand a chance.
Shame on
It sounded
you.
like he wasn't too far off the mark, though.
Okay, now they won the game.
I was watching the game, and then I looked up, and it was 21-3, and I turned the game off. And I was like, oh, I'm going to bed. And I woke up and said, oh, dang, I got to go see the highlights.
Now,
and it's like, oh, Caleb turned it on.
You know how
I was
many
like, he was out there
comebacks they've had?
throwing dots out there.
I'm so glad Cam here.
It was 21-3. You at 20 when it's 21 when you're 21 up in Madden, what do? You turn the game off.
Yeah, you
This isn't Madden. It's the playoffs.
I'm saying as a gamer, what do? You're 21 up. I already won.
sticks.
You see, give up the sticks. Your boys is chiding you. Hey, bro, you got ran. Get up the sticks. Hey, it's over for you. It was 21-3. I was like, oh, okay. Anyways, and I did not know. I looked back and Caleb Williams turned it on. Flamed up the world, throwing passes, chucking things, dotting, rolling out, scrambling. He got electric. He went Super Saiyan.
But what I'll say is this is not the first time that's happened with the Bears. They're literally called the Cardiac Bears because they do this in the fourth quarter. Can you apologize, please, to Chicago and what you said?
Yeah.
Go on.
I don't think I should apologize. I was right until that very fine moment when I wasn't. Chicago Bears, I guess I apologize that I said I didn't think you guys stood a chance unless you got a turnover. You didn't get the turnover, yet you still won. So in that regard, I was wrong. But man, for 3/4 of that game, I was right.
Honestly, too, I don't know a person in the world that enjoys being right as much as you do. So I know
he wasn't right. They didn't win. He didn't get a chance.
But what I'm saying is, for 3 quarters, though, I know he was in this house and he was like, all these retweets that I'm finna retweet. At the end of this game, he was ready.
And then the fourth quarter, and I was like, God bless, man. How'd that happen? So Chicago Bears fans, I'll apologize for saying that you guys want to win. But other than that, I was right.
Stephen, can you believe
Other than that, you were right. So other than the final outcome,
exactly,
which you were clearly wrong about, you were absolutely right. Only you, bro. Only you. And I was texting.
I texted him in the game too.
I texted you and I called you. And I said, Joe, I can't believe this. Chicago's defense looks absolutely awful. This is horrible. I said, you were right. And then I was looking for you again. You know what I'm saying? when you were wrong and you were hard to find. It was past your bedtime then. So that's what it was. Okay. But you apologize, so we'll lean on that. We'll hold on to that then.
Okay.
Because it's a miracle that you did.
Yeah, but now they got the Rams.
Okay, so let's
Yeah.
move to the
Come
Rams.
on. The
Now-
Rams?
Well, go ahead. So what do you think
Matt
is going to happen?
Stafford, Kyron Williams, you talk about Devontae Adams, you talk about Puka Nacua. That offense, elite. Oh, and then you talk about their defense. Their defensive line, Byron Young, Jared Verse, you've got Kobe Turner in the middle. That defensive line handles business. And now, again, if you have Caleb Williams who makes all these electric throws on perimeter, now it becomes a boring pass rush, fine. But you have the edges to keep them contained.
So here's what I will say, and I know you guys are going to be like, Shae, the weather, who cares? It's supposed to be freezing in Chicago.
No, who says that?
Okay.
Maybe RC
Okay,
because
okay.
he played in Pittsburgh. Because that's and he
played. He been in New
LA,
Orleans his
going
whole
to
career.
Chicago, I think it's supposed to feel like negative 10.
If there's air conditioning on in an airplane, I get cold. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if there's a time that I ever hated life was playing in Cleveland when it was negative, whatever it was, right? It was like 28, but it felt like negative. It was zero. It was maybe 4 degrees, and it
doesn't
felt
even know
like
how to read
negative
the
28.
temperatures.
I was like, what? Why is the thermometer not working? This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Is like football meant to be played in cold weather? No, football is meant to be played sun out. 90 degrees outside when your best 11 is versus my best 11. Don't give me this, the offensive linemen love this type of weather. Yeah, because everybody's less athletic just like them. Bro, yeah, that affects everything. In fact, the last time it was a cold game, I took my family right after the season and we moved to Spain. Yo vivir en la España 3 meses. You moved because of Spain? Moved to Spain. Babe,
How long?
3 months.
Boy,
Babe,
you so
I can't
rich.
do it. Hey,
Oh, you so rich.
I said, babe, I can't do this anymore. She said, what? I said, are you willing to teach the kids elsewhere? She said, what? I said, we're moving to Spain.
Okay, so it matters. So negative 10 in Chicago against the LA Rams. Stephen A. is going to matter when they play the Rams this weekend.
Absolutely.
Listen, I think it'll matter, but I think that Stafford is great enough to overcome it. I'm just watching RC and DO, and I remembering how many times they raked me through the coals because how I feel about cold weather. And I have said 1,000 times, yo, Cam, I can't count the amount of times I have brought up, what's the weather report? What's the weather going to be like? Because I ain't say snow, I ain't say rain, I said cold, right? And Monday night in Pittsburgh, listen, it was so bad, RC came up to me on the field and hugged me. That's how bad it was because I was that damn cold. You understand what I'm saying? I was freezing. I mean, it was bad. It was really bad. But you know, people ignore this stuff. I'm like, damn. Listen, y'all play when you get hit in the cold, Cam. When you get hit in the cold, RC. I'm not asking you, Dan.
When you're hitting somebody in the cold, it still hurts. Like I'm here to deliver.
Yes.
I'm here to deliver this killing blow, and here I am. Like we're both sitting on the ground. And I'm like, why did I do that?
Yeah,
that's soft. I'm not helping.
Soft.
I'm not helping him up. Now I'm mushing him in the ground because now I hate you.
So you're going to give the Bears a chance
It
against the
evokes
Rams.
hateful
Help
emotions.
me here.
Yes, the
Thank
Bears
you.
have a chance against the Rams. Like, are we having that same
Where?
conversation
How?
again?
do.
When?
The same way the Carolina Panthers did last week.
But did they win?
No, they didn't
So
win.
you're gonna be right for 3 quarters and be wrong.
It's
so
not
your deal.
No,
Got it.
no, I'm not DO because I still
Clark
have
got
a
a
chance.
chance.
I'll pick when I pick, right? You still a guest.
Yes.
So I'm gonna give you some guest treatment. Puka Nacua, to me, next to Christian McCaffrey, is the most important offensive non-quarterback in football. The way Sean McVay utilizes, the way they move him around. What's Dennis Allen? You probably know better than anybody's. What's his answer going to be to that? And how many times can Caleb make, in my opinion, on-schedule plays is what's important, especially early in this game. You mentioned the rush. The rush is phenomenal, whether it's B. Young, Jared Verse, Fisk in the middle. Even Poona Ford has become a force in the pass game, which he's a run stopper. How many plays can you make in structure for Caleb early is important because that's how this game stays tight, especially when you look at some of the success Bryce was able to have.
If this game was in LA, I would say first team to score 40 wins, and I would honestly think the Rams would score 50. I don't know how much the weather is going to impact them. And I stand by what I said last week. You continue to try to play this game of bad football. They needed perfection last week to win it. Everything went their way, Chicago. They did it. God bless you. Tip of the hat. I'm not banking on that happening again versus a Super Bowl winning quarterback, a Super Bowl winning coach, Super Bowl winning wide receiver, and a defense that Cam's talked about is talented. They got to play better, though. That defense
I was
stunk
just
last
about
week.
to say, against,
I'll talk about the front.
Here's what's gotten scary.
Against
Here's what's gotten
Carolina was
scary
tough.
for them, though. Some things that you could have seen before the season, which were back-end problems, right? Where Emmanuel Forbes is talented, he's also extremely flawed, right? Jacoby Durant, to me, is more of a nickel than an outside corner. Quentin Lake is just returning off of injury. Nate Landman isn't creating the turnovers we saw early in the season. That back seven is not great for Chris Shula's defense. It's, can Caleb take advantage of them? How much can Colston Loveland work? Also, when you think about the way DeAndre Swift was implemented in the pass game, this game, that's something I would lean on for Ben Johnson. So there are ways for Chicago to work early against this defense. I don't think on either side of the ball, the defenses are dominant outside the front of LA.
Stephen A?
I think what the Chicago Bears have proven, particularly on their home turf, is that they're going to be in the game when it comes down to the wire. And so for me, I'm going to pay attention to the pass rush that they're able to implement with Verse and the crew. But I'm also looking at that back seven that you just alluded to, RC, I think is very, very vulnerable. The Rams are going to put up points. I get that part. But Chicago's going to put up some points too, in my estimation. And I think it's going to be close in the end. And we're going to see what happens. Because the one thing that we have to say about Caleb Williams, second year in the league, third head coach, fourth offensive coordinator. I mean, when you look at what he has done, 7 come from behind victories in the last 2 minutes of the game this season alone, it's unreal. And I just spoke to DJ Moore Dunze the other day. The brothers balling. We see what they can do. You know what you talked about utilizing Swift coming out of the backfield, basically utilizing them to some degree in the same way that Sean McVay might utilize Kyron Williams. It's going to be a real interesting matchup. I think it's going to come down to the wire. It's just that my league MVP, Matthew Stafford, Mr. 46 touchdowns, just 8 interceptions, known for comeback victories his damn self. I think going up against that dude is significantly different than going up against Jordan Love. And I think that the Los Angeles Rams, find a way to pull this out. But I think it's going to be a thriller.
Were you going to add something?
No,
you were
good.
Okay.
I'm finna move to Spain.
That's okay.
Damn, when we moving to Spain,
Can I
dog?
add? Rams have lost
Family
4
trip, bro.
straight at
100%.
Soldier
Dang,
Field,
I didn't expect
and
that.
Matthew Stafford
I
has
didn't expect
never
that.
played in 30 degrees or less weather.